The hardest part of becoming yourself is letting go of who you were told to be. I'm Tracy Cao. Today, I'm joined by Sierra Collins, an actress and a founder of Saije Soul, a brand that's dedicated to expression, transformation, and embodied confidence. Sierra, thank you for being here today.
I'm so excited to be here today.
When you reflect on your journey, what is the moment that shifted the direction of your life or career?
Well, there's been a few moments that have definitely shifted the trajectory of career and life. And I think everyone has those, right? Like, no one's a static person. You're not the same person you were when you're 20. You're not the same person you are when you're 30. You're not the same person when you're 40 or 50 or so on and so forth. And we're definitely not the same person we were when we were 16 or 17. So I think the first big shift for me was really becoming a mom. And I was fairly young when I had my son. I was 27. And it was a very different role than what society had ever put me in before. Before, I had always just kind of been boxed into this real box of the only value that I had was by being sexualized. In some way, shape, form, or other. From the time I was a teenager and I had teachers that had ulterior motives to the time where I was an adult to then jumping into the entertainment world, and you really start to feel like yourself isn't even something that you have control over anymore. You have to look a certain way, you have to talk a certain way, you have to appear a certain way. And just kind of being in this box of maybe I didn't really even know myself. And that's a scary place to be. And I just kind of went through the motions. I didn't know what I was doing. I just went through the motions. And after I had my kid, I got so depressed. And it wasn't like postpartum. It was more like I felt like a piece of me was not there. The things that I used to get validation for, the way I looked, was not something that I was getting that validation for anymore. Now, granted, I wasn't like putting myself out there in the same way because I had just had a kid, and I immediately went right back into it because that was where my validation came, and I felt like such an integral piece of me was missing, and I wasn't taken serious as a mom, and I didn't feel like I was being taken serious in career, and it was just this like rough limbo. So it was kind of the real advent of Instagram. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to figure out this Instagram thing. I have been modeling for years. I have a whole book of photos that have not been put out there. I'm just going to start putting stuff out. And it was really easy to go viral at the time on social media. And it was really easy to get that external validation from social media. Like, it was so easy. It was like, all right, here's my body. There's 1,000 and some likes. Good to go, right? And I was happy. And I found that I was literally obsessed with social media to the point where like the only thing that mattered at a certain point in time was really how many clicks or how many likes or how many comments or how many, whatever. And yes, the DMs would annoy me, but it also was like, see, I'm still being validated. And that went on for a long time until like I had this like mommy moment crisis where it was like I felt like I just couldn't be myself as a parent. I couldn't be myself around other people. I couldn't be myself around my child. I couldn't be myself around my family. And it was like so many of these different personalities. And it all kind of went on for a lot of years, and it was fine, right? Like we survive, we fight, we survive, we go through the motions, and everything just kind of works. But the fulfillment that I used to get out of something wasn't fulfilling me anymore. And in fact, I started to feel, despite being, someone who would have said I was so super spiritual and getting more and more spiritual by the day, more and more lost and more disconnected and more away from myself. And I needed to find a way to come back to me. I really needed to even understand if I knew myself, which in a lot of regards we don't, because we're so fed like what you should do, what like go to college, do this, do that, right? Like we don't even have that time to develop when we really should be who it is we want to be, which I think is also why like people get to like the midlife and career, they're like, I'm really unhappy I don't want to be a teacher.
Right.
I don't want to be a nurse. I don't want to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. And that's okay. It's not failure to say that this was serving me, but it's not serving me anymore. And the next thing that I can do to find myself, to grow, where that fills me with joy, that is where I'm supposed to be.
I think what you just shared is so relatable to so many people. And this is the epiphany to me that when we think about what made us feel worth it and what made us feel whole, a lot of people probably go through similar journeys for self-discovery. And I think as we're young, we always gravitate towards the validation externally from other people. And I think until life or experiences catch up or something happen for us to pause and really do a self-reflection of what matters. Are we whole because of someone else think we are, or because we are already within?
Right. And then do we want to do things for ego? Do we want to do things for external validation? Or do we want to do things for us?
Yes.
And that us question is such a big question, because so many times people just do things for the wrong reasons.
Absolutely. And that's why I think people could feel lonely and disconnected even when they're in a very crowded space.
Yeah.
I think the first thing is to find that connection within ourselves. And we have to find ourselves. Then we could feel more connected to others. And I know that recently you working on your website, you're building your brand.
Yes.
And your website carries such an intentional, grounded presence that really gives me the context and see how much you've grown and evolved through where you were to where you are today. And what value and ideas guide the way that you present yourself and choose your work.
I think for me, at this point in time, what's guiding the way that I present myself and I, work is just what fulfills me. What is it that I want? What is it that I desire? And knowing that it's not selfish, it's actually a form of self-love to give yourself that space.
Yeah.
And I can show up and be the best version of me when I do that. So what is it that fulfills me? What is it that I want to do? What message is it that I want to send?
Yeah, I really love the souls in your presence when I'm looking at your website, the photos that you took. It gives me a sense of a woman step forward into the next better version of herself and really gaining that clarity through the past experiences that you have and done a tremendous inner work to get to where she wanted to be. And I really love that. And share a little bit of your experiences in acting space. I'm always curious about how actors work, what is the entertainment, because it's so glamorous, it's very fast-paced. It can be, right?
It can
so, on the other hand, acting also asks you to explore identity in many different ways, depending on the roles you play. And what do you think this entertainment world taught you, who you thought you were versus who you're becoming?
I think, first of all, acting is about finding your voice within a character. By doing that, you bring portions of yourself to the table, good, bad, or otherwise, that then fit this character. Because there's no character that's inherently bad or evil. Like, you can't look at that way, because that's not a motivating factor, right? So if you're playing a villain and you're having to draw something from it, you're drawing from past experiences. You're writing your story into it. And that there is a lot of beauty in that. There's a lot of magic in that. But it's also one of these things where you kind of also take pieces of the characters that you play, whether you want to or not, and they also then kind of become a little bit of a part of you. And I don't know if that is really then like finding yourself. You get, it gets muddied down a little bit, and it's not like they are you, but you kind of merge. Versus when you're really finding yourself, it's actually sitting down and asking the hard questions. It's not saying, well, how am I similar to this person or how am I similar to that person? I mean, honestly, that's really just figuring out how you could be that popular kid in high school all over again, you know? This is really just sitting here and going, okay, this is going to be painful. This is going to hurt. I have to be brutally honest. What do I need to look at? What do I need to change? Where can I accept responsibility for things that I've done along the way? Where can I offer forgiveness up? How do I open up in that way?
What you shared, your perspective, it's actually, it's refreshing to me, because now I know the same role played by different people will have different effect, because a little parts of them and parts of the role together. So entertainment industry to me, you know, if they move fast and it can be demanding. And what helps you to stay authentic?
I think a lot of times you're not authentic in that space. And I don't think there is room for a lot of authenticity in that space. I think especially with women, it's more about what's marketable and what sells. I think we're starting to see a little bit more authenticity within that space, just with the different people who have been coming up now, and honestly, with Nepo babies, because they have been allowed to be authentically themselves. And since they have that, you know, so to speak, they're still allowed to be authentically themselves. So for good or for bad, I think that we're seeing a lot more of that now. Miley Cyrus is an example of someone who is pretty authentically her. And she does it in a way that's really fierce and really out there. And it's really cool to see. But I don't think that that space was as available to women even 20 years ago. I think that was more what you have to do to fit into this box, to be marketable, to be seen as this. And they do it with men too. It's not just women, it's everyone. And it's marketing, it's branding, it's what it is. It's part of the game, because it is designed to make money and you are designed to be a brand.
Yeah, I appreciate that you're speaking the truth. And I think the bigger question is that how to balancing that, right? So maybe like for career and professional purpose, we need to be projected in certain ways, professionalism, and versus that where we also have live in our personal life, and how to balancing between the professional life versus the personal life, and find a good sweet spot to be able to continue excel in our career, but also stay honest and true to ourselves.
Journaling.
Yeah.
Journal. If something's bothering you, if something's triggering you, why is it triggering you?
Yeah.
Reading a news feed and you see like someone in the news feed that you're not, you know, a fan of, or that you have negative thoughts of, or jealousy or envy or whatever. Why? Why is that triggering you? That could quite literally be Trump. That could quite literally be the Kardashians. That could be Kanye. It could be anybody, right? But why is it triggering you? Because the deeper reason is the fact that it's triggering you. That's something that you need to heal.
Absolutely, 100%. And exactly like you said, is that when we take the time to pause and think about that triggering reason and find that peace and think about it's like a scrape on your skin.
Yeah.
You disinfect, you heal, and let the wound heal. And slowly, given time and intention, then you experience this less triggering. It's not gonna be like one-time thing, like you will get there.
No,
it's gonna be like a slow journey.
It's a process.
It's a process, right? And there will be regressions. But I think what you are sharing, it's extremely inspiring, is that be aware of those moments. Right?
You know,
we're not gonna get there in X amount of time.